Thank you, Mr Chair, and I want to begin by echoing my thanks and appreciation to the Honourable Member for Midlothian for bringing this debate forward and for the comprehensive way in which he set out the challenges faced by too many people. Over 3 million people went to work every day to pay their bills, look after their families, and found that when the coronavirus took hold, the government built a lifeboat called furlough, but they were not allowed a place on that lifeboat. In an act of, at times, apparent random cruelty, they were left without support for themselves or their families. When they complained or raised concerns, or their elected representatives did so on their behalf, the government simply responded by pointing out all the support there was for other people, as though the excluded could be comforted by the fact that their exclusion from support would be made more bearable by knowing others had received support. So I sincerely hope that the Minister, when he gets to his feet, does not repeat that bizarre cycle. The self-employed support, in fact, failed to help most self-employed workers, with many still left out in the cold. And as the government gradually withdraws furlough support, too early in my view and in that view of many others, it's clear, and has been for some time, that the excluded are to remain so and have been left to manage as best they can. The Prime Minister promised on the 25th of March 2020 to put his arms around every single worker, but he didn't, and he hasn't, despite all entreaties to do so. And now we face a summer of redundancies as furlough has started to be eased back before firms have had the time to scale up. Families will fall further into debt, many will fear losing their homes, whilst we see the scandal of lucrative COVID contracts for PALs without formal processes, and all the other questionable practices that were set out in the House of Commons in a debate just earlier this afternoon. It makes no economic sense to force people onto benefit rather than supporting them with assistance that might just enable them to keep their businesses and their jobs up and running, helping them to reach a point where they can again start to generate tax revenues. It's bad enough that millions were excluded from government support, but if the purpose of furlough, as we were told, was to save jobs, removing it before businesses have had time to scale up their operations runs counter to that aim. The Minister should reflect on that, and I urge him to urge the Chancellor to tread carefully and realistically when people's livelihoods are at stake.